लग जाए झपका पवन का, लग जाए काया धूल हो जासी। बोला बोला भवानी हो नाथ, गुरु जी ने सिर धरिया हाथ, जिनसे मुक्ति हो जासी, जिनसे मुक्ति हो जासी। जैसी ओसरा मोती झोंका पवन का, लग जाए झपका पवन का, लग जाए छाया धूल हो जासी, धूल हो जासी, काया धूल हो जासी, काया धूल हो जासी। কিছু দিন মনে মনে, কিছুদিন মনে মনে, ঘরের কোণে স্বামীর পীর রাখ গোপনে। কিছুদিন মনে মনে, কিছুদিন মনে মনে, ঘরের কোণে স্বামীর পীর রাখ গোপনে। কিছুদিন মনে ইশারায় কোন কথা মাঠে, কইবি কথা গুঠে মাঠে। রাই রাইলো ইশারায় কইবি কথা গুঠে মাঠে। দেখি যেন কেউ না জানে, কেউ না বোঝে, কেউ না শোনে। কিছুদিন মনে মনে, শ্যামকে যখন পড়বে মনে, চাইবি কালো মেঘের পানে। আরে শ্যামকে যখন পড়বে মনে, চাইবি কালো মেঘের পানে। রাই রাইলো শ্যামকে যখন পড়বে মনে, চাইবি কালো মেঘের পানে। আর রান্নাশালে কাঁদবি বসে, রান্নাশালে কাঁদবি বসে, ভিজে কাঠ দিয়ে উনুনে। কিছুদিন মনে মনে, কিছুদিন মনে মনে, ঘরের কোণে শ্যামের পীড়িতে রাখ গোপনে। কিছুদিন মনে মনে, বলি শ্যাম মায়ের বসন ভিজে, বলি শ্যাম সায়রে যাবি, মায়ের বসনে সায়রে সাঁতার দিয়ে আসবি ফিরে, সায়রে সাঁতার দিয়ে আসবি ফিরে। বলি গায়ের বসন ভিজবে কানে। কিছুদিন মনে মনে, কিছুদিন মনে মনে, ঘরের কোণে শ্যামের পীড়িতে রাখ গোপনে। কিছুদিন মনে মনে, কিছুদিন মনে মনে, কিছুদিন মনে মনে।
Good evening. and welcome once again. In Conversation with the Mystic is an exclusive series of interactive episodes where eminent personalities from various walks of life explore a range of subjects with Sadhguru. From the economic to the political, from the cultural to the environment, some of these sessions have been freewheeling, while some have been focused on a particular topic. Today, we have Shri Sanjiv Goenka in a conversation with Sadhguru on a topic that promises to intrigue and engage all of us, of guts, gumption, and gods. We begin this evening with the launch of a recent book by Sadhguru called A Taste of Well-Being. In an era where a great variety of cuisines are just a restaurant away, it has become difficult to choose what to eat. Food products labeled healthy one day are abruptly dismissed as lethal the very next, while crash diets and celebrity regimens are trashed by the nutritionists. So what is the correct, balanced diet for your body? How do you know if you're eating your way to well-being or ill health? The answer simply lies within. In A Taste of Well-Being, you will find a wealth of recipes that have been perfected in the kitchen of Isha Yoga Center, enjoyed by millions of visitors for over 20 years. Ranging from refreshing juices and salads to complete meals of grains, cereals, and curries, to tasty desserts for those with a sweet tooth, the positive pranic adaptations of each dish are a treasure for those who have always hoped healthy eating could also be tasty. Interwoven throughout the book are Sadhguru's insights into digestion, nourishment, classification of foods, and more. Photographs and testimonials offer a glimpse into the daily life at the Isha Yoga Center, a space designed for inner transformation. A book that will help you discover the potential that lies within you and the joy you can derive from the simple act of eating. We're happy to have with us today Shri Harsh Neotia. Shri Neotia is a very well-known name in Kolkata and needs no introduction. He is the chairman of Ambuja Neotia Group, which covers the entire spectrum of the real estate industry, including housing, hospitality, healthcare, and education. Shri Neotia was confirmed with the honor of Padma Shri in 1999 for his outstanding initiative in social housing. He was also honored with the YPO Legacy of Honor Award in 2005. Shri Neotia is the president of FICCI. He is also a member of the Chief Minister's Advisory Council, Government of Rajasthan, as well as a member of Chief Minister's Core Committee on Industry, Government of West Bengal. He is on the board of Shri Somnath Trust, Gujarat. Shri Neotia also serves as the Honorary Consul General of Israel in West Bengal. May we request Shri Harsh Neotia to come up on stage and launch the book, as well as introduce the speakers for the evening.
Respected Sadhguru, Sanjiv, ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed a great honor and privilege for me to stand here to introduce a childhood friend and a guru who came into my life several years ago, and since then life has been very different. You will taste a little bit of that nectar later this evening. Let me begin by welcoming Sanjiv Goenka. Imagine one day of your life without the spell of Sanjiv. Well, it's all darkness. He is the source of light in our lives and in our drawing rooms. As you all know, he leads and heads CESC. But he is more than a businessman, a keen patron of the arts and an admirer of sports. Talking about sports, it is a no-brainer that I was never much on the sports field. You can look at it. And interestingly, neither was my good friend Sanjiv. It is therefore interesting and intriguing that together we are wearing the same team jerseys of ATK, and Sanjiv additionally is now wearing another jersey in his cricketing hat in the IPL. Be it in business or in sports, you are driven by some strategies. You need to take a call in tough situations. Sanjiv, in such tough situations, is exemplary. He has assiduously built on the great legacy of his father, late RP Goenka, to build a formidable business empire. Though it is spread far and wide, what is special is that it has remained headquartered here in our own beloved city of Kolkata. This evening, however, he is here to have a conversation with Sadhguru, a conversation on guts, gumption, and gods. And it would be wonderful to see how Sanjiv is able to draw out of Sadhguru precious nuggets of wisdom to address the many dilemmas that we face every now and then. The famous American Olympic wrestler Dan Gable had once said, "Gold medals are not really made of gold. They are made of sweat, determination, and a hard-to-find alloy called guts." Under his gutsy leadership, the RP-Sanjiv Goenka Group is already attaining great heights, and I wish Sanjiv many more gold medals in life. I present a caring husband, a guiding father, a sports enthusiast, a great leader, and my childhood friend. Friends, please put your hands together to welcome Sanjiv Goenka. And now, to introduce the one and only Sadhguru. Someone once said beautifully, the true purpose of life is the perfection of humanity through individual effort under the guidance of God's inspiration. Sadhguru once said, quote, "How deeply you touch another life is how rich your life is," unquote. We have very little capacity to weigh upon the richness of Sadhguru's life. But what I can say unequivocally is that people like me who have met Sadhguru earlier were indeed deeply touched by him. We feel so fortunate that we have found him when we did. Incidentally, here's an opportunity for all those of you who didn't get the chance to meet Sadhguru earlier to experience him and his mastery. A day with Sadhguru is better spent than a year in the study of scriptures or a lifetime in a library. Sadhguru has been a great proponent of inner transformation. Latent within every human being is an incredible seed of spiritual potential. Emerging from the spiritual source, we descended and crystallized into duality and material form in order to gain self-awareness. Using a process of inner transformation, we can retrace our steps back to the process of creation until returning to the source, having self-realized. The end result of this transformation is called enlightenment. Is it at all possible for us? Sadhguru says, quote, "If a human being is capable of ignorance, he is also capable of enlightenment." On the question how long it takes to get enlightened, Guru answered, quote, "Need not always a bang. In the garden, the flower quietly is undeniably there." Unquote. A guru is not someone, teacher, to something. Have seen some. A guru does hold a torch. He is the torch. He burns. Either you burn with him or you don't. Unquote. Belonging to no particular tradition, Sadhguru incorporates and presents what is most valid for the contemporary life from the yogic sciences. Traversing seamlessly from the ancient to the ultra-modern, Sadhguru bridges the gap between the known and the unknown, enabling all those who encounter him to explore and experience the deepest dimensions of life. I am fortunate enough to be present here this evening. It's significant as many of us today are stretched thin, burned out, and disconnected. Our fragmented society has left many of us relationally and spiritually disconnected. We are all waiting, therefore, to listen to Sadhguru, who can help us produce better results and live a happy and fulfilled life. Friends, please put your hands together and join me in welcoming a yogi, a mystic, a visionary, a spiritual master, the one and only Sadhguru Jaggi Vasudev.
Jananam sukadham maranam karunam milanam maduram smaranam karunam kalavasyadeha sakalam karunam samayadipate akhilam karunam. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. I said good evening. That's better. Please.
Good evening, namaskar, welcome. For me, it's a very different experience. We deal with the corporate world on a regular basis. To deal with wisdom, to deal with nobility, to deal with sincerity is completely different. It's a rare honor, a rare privilege. Sadhguruji, suswagatam.
Thank you.
I have never in the past researched when I've gone into a talk or a conversation. It really is the first time that I was compelled to do so. Compelled by the stature, the profundity, and the intensity of Sadhguruji. And then I did something that I haven't done in a few years. I actually made notes just so that I don't make any mistakes.
You can't make a mistake asking questions.
Sadhguruji, I've been told that every man, every woman, every child has come into this world with a mission. And until that mission is complete, he keeps taking rebirth. I don't know whether the concept of rebirth is true or not, but I do believe that everyone is here with a mission. How does one find out what that mission is, and what does it take to get there?
What I say may not be very pleasant. What is true may not always be pleasant. What is pleasant need not be true. But why truth is important is because it works. Pleasant things will bring solace to individual people. Solace means you're seeking somebody's help to handle your psychological drama. Truth means you're interested in the solution, not in solace. So, this mission aspect, all the problems on the planet is simply because everybody has their own mission. And these missions are creating variety of conflict. If all of us sit here without any mission. Mission means an assumed position of importance and agenda, individual agenda. If all of us can sit here without any individual agenda, if our hearts beat just as life, not as a man, not as a woman, not as this party or this religion or that religion, simply as life, all of us will be able to see very clearly what is it that is most essential right now in the world, both for the individual and for the larger world. Because every one of us have taken up these assumed missionary positions. In our fervor of our own missions, very brutal things are being done in the world. People who even believe… mission is always God-given, unfortunately. You can look back on the history of humanity and see, whenever somebody said, "God spoke to me," terrible things happened around them. In recent times, a president of a major nation said, "God told me." Since then, over 1 million people are dead, 3 countries are ruined, and it has bred something that you cannot contain probably in the next 100 years, because God spoke to him. So, there are too many assumptions in this. There are too many assumptions involved. First of all, to think that I have a God-given mission, there is an exaggerated sense of importance for the human being. Somewhere, there is a ridiculous idea that human beings are central to the creation, or the cosmos is human-centric. No. Tomorrow morning, if this entire solar system evaporates, it will not even be noticed. That is how vast it is, creation. All of us, including the sun and the moon and all the planets, if we just evaporate tomorrow, it will not even be noticed, it's such a small speck. This tiny speck, which we call a solar system, in that planet Earth is a micro speck. In that micro speck, Kolkata is a super micro speck. In that, you are a big man. And now everybody has their own God-given missions. Whatever the most horrendous things that are happening on the planet right now in Middle East, all these horrendous things are happening because they firmly believe they're doing God's work. Let's understand this. Sitting here, we may think, oh, these are all some cavemen or nutcases from somewhere. No, no, no. They're doing God's work. They truly believe it. If they did not believe it, they wouldn't pitch their life for it, isn't it? Any man who pitches his life for whatever he thinks is right or whatever he believes, you have to at least trust he's sincere about it. Is he sensible? That's another question. But is he sincere? He is. Otherwise he wouldn't pitch his life. Because it is in the very intrinsic nature of life, whether you are a man, woman, or an ant for that matter, if you try to catch an ant, he will do everything possible to save his life, isn't it? He does not think it's just an ant's life, let me shed it. No, 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 it's very valuable for him. This is the intrinsic nature of life, that every life values itself for what it is. Now, because most human beings have done nothing about experiencing the intrinsic value of life, right now I would say most human beings are not life, They're a bundle of thoughts, emotions, ideas, opinions and prejudices. Because they have become this, now they're coming up with another idea, they have a God-given mission. There is no mission. Life is a phenomena beyond missions. It is bigger than any silly mission we can think about. It is more profound, more organic and more phenomenal than anything human mind can ever think about. Our missions, local missions we can have. Right now you can have a mission. I don't want a single home in Kolkata without electricity. This is your local mission, it's fine. But this is not a God-given mission, this is a sensible mission that you come to because so many people are living in darkness. That's fine. Everybody can come up with missions like this out of your sense. But the moment you have a God-given mission, you're a danger to the world. Yes.
Is there salvation? And if so, what is it?
Salvation from what?
Salvation from birth and rebirth.
So you believe you're here many times over. So if you want to know something, if you want to know anything, genuinely, if you want to know something, hello, the people in the upper regions, are you with us? Oh, good. They want a little more volume.
Increase it?
Wherever the controls are, please, can you… Is this good? Hello? Okay. See, if we are in pursuit of truth, the most important thing is we don't assume anything. You become a genuine seeker only when you realize, I do not know. Those who do not realize the immensity of I do not know, they will believe something. The moment you believe something, you get identified with it. The moment you get identified with it, your mind is a prejudiced mind. It will only work around that. Why is it so difficult for human beings to say, I don't know? The fact of the matter is you don't know where the hell you came from, where you're going, what is the nature of your existence, you don't know, isn't it? Why can't we say, I don't know? Is it okay? Hello? Is it all right? What I know, what I do not know, is it okay? But right now, the tendency in the world, the training in the world is, whatever you do not know, you believe. Belief needs support. Belief needs social support. You just believe something that nobody here endorses, you will start going looking for forming your own society which believes what you believe. If you believe something and nobody else believes what you believe, suddenly you look ridiculous, isn't it? So you will always gather numbers around you. The moment you gather numbers, well, numbers are useful in a democratic process, but numbers are not useful in seeking, because a crowd cannot seek. Only individual intelligence can seek. Only the longing within an individual human being is capable of seeking. A crowd cannot seek anything. So in many ways, when you get identified with a particular belief system, you have become a crowd. You are no more an individual. If you ask anybody, they will say, okay, for example, reincarnation, they'll say reincarnation. If I say this is all rubbish, they'll say, but Gita says this. So, you have an authority which said it. Because Krishna said it, it must be true. In future somebody will say, Sadhguru said it. It doesn't matter who said it. The question is, do you want authority to be the truth or do you want the truth to be the authority? If you want the truth to be the authority in your life, because that's the only thing that works, then we must come to this much. We must realize the immensity of I do not know. I do not know is the basis of all knowing. When you truly realize I do not know, wanting to know, longing to know, seeking to know, and the possibility of knowing becomes a living reality. Otherwise, you believe one thing, I believe one thing, I'll form one party, you'll form another party. We will pretend we are brothers. When it comes, we'll hack each other. Yes. I mean, I don't have to say this, you're seeing enough examples right through history, right? We will say we are all brothers, we are wonderful like this, we respect your belief, I respect my belief, but when it really comes to the crunch, we will hack each other. Not once, thousands of times we've been doing the same thing, won't we ever learn? So, what you're asking is not about reincarnation, or in a way, you're asking what happens beyond death. Some things you know best only by experience. Now, essentially what you're asking is, what is the nature of my existence? It gets clothed in so many things. Just now, some time ago, I was in conversation with Harsh. He burst car tires, he took me to Middle East, he made me cross Pakistan border, many things. But fundamentally what you're asking is, what is the nature of my existence? If you want to know the nature of your existence, you just have to pay attention to this one right now. You said a word which I keep on demolishing wherever I go, you said corporate world. There is no corporate world, there is just one world. So, the moment you belong to one world, I belong to another world, intergalactic fight will happen. So, we are just in this world. If you pay attention, how you have happened. Right now, when you and me sit here, well, I have my physical presence, you have your physical presence, and everybody else has their physical boundaries. This is my boundary, that is your boundary, that is somebody else's boundary. This physical body which is defining your boundary right now, how did it happen? In Bengal, maybe it's just fish and rice. What else do you eat, huh? What else? That's not your diet. Yeah, maybe. So, fish, rice and rasgulla in the head. No, I'm saying you're sweet. So fundamentally, we accumulated this body by ingesting food. What we call as food is just actually a piece of the planet. It's good to get it now. If you experience this now, if this becomes a living reality, you understand this is just a piece of the planet. Little bit of topsoil I picked up and I'm walking around. Well, you can carry your topsoil in style or in a clumsy manner, it's up to you. But it is just topsoil. If you don't get it now, one day you will anyway get it from the maggots. Yes. One day when they bury you or burn you, anyway you will get it, isn't it? So what you accumulate, whatever you accumulate, can be yours at the most for now, but cannot be you, isn't it? Anything that you accumulate, you can claim is mine, but if you say it is me, it amounts to, even by medical definition, you are psychologically off. Yes, that's what it means. Suppose I say I am this furniture, people know I've lost it. This is happening every day. Food appears in your plate, you say, this is my food, you eat it and immediately say, this is me. So if you want to know the nature of your existence, one simple thing you can do is tonight before you fall asleep. If this is a genuine question, is it a question or is it entertainment? Is it a genuine question? It will become a genuine question when your bones start creaking and you know mortality starts knocking on your doors. Oh, am I saying something wrong? Do you know all of you are mortal? I'm saying, do you know even if you're in the upper regions, you will die one day? That's all I'm asking. Hello? Is it okay? This is not my wish. I'll bless you with a long life. But with or without me, you'll anyway die. Lot of people believe other people die. No, you and me will die. You and me will die. Not today, we don't want it today, but when it's time, we will die. So everything that you have accumulated will become meaningless on that day. Right now, if you learn, tonight before you go to bed, if you can sit on your bed, everything that you are not, everything that you have accumulated, for 2 minutes you keep it aside and just go to bed, go to sleep. If you sleep with this much awareness every day, one day you may wake up enlightened. Yes. You will know the nature of your existence. Because right now, if I tell you, Sanjiv, the nature of your existence, your Atma, you know how Atma came, it is a drop of Paramatma. I can tell you many things, but till it becomes a living experience for you, it is just a story, isn't it? Stories will add color to our life, but will not bring truth and liberation to our life. You're talking about salvation. If the longing for salvation is genuine, then stories are only entertainment. It doesn't matter whether the story came from ancient scripture or story came from a contemporary guru, it is just entertainment. But there are methods. I'm not known to be an entertainer. I do brutal things in a pleasant manner. Very brutal things, but in a pleasant manner. People like it ultimately because it works. Ultimately, all that matters in this life is what works and what doesn't work, isn't it? Yes? Whether it's in business, in your world and my world. In every damn world, what works is ultimately matters, isn't it? What doesn't work, however pretty it is, doesn't gel after some time. So, if we are seeking salvation, don't seek salvation, just instead of waiting for that day when you will sit on your deathbed and wonder, what is this all about? Tonight, you sit on your bed and wonder, what is this all about? Let you come down to reality. Right now, you're running away with your psychological drama to such an extent, the existential is completely missing. If you pay attention, you will see and you will constantly be aware of your mortal nature. That means you know you shall also die. This is not a negative thought. This means your time will get organized in a most sensible manner. When you know you're on a limited leash of time, your time will get organized in a most sensible manner. If you are conscious that you will also die, and it could be any day, okay, we are planning for this many years, but nobody here has come with a guarantee card. Have you? So it could be today. If you're conscious of this, do you have time to do anything that doesn't truly matter to you? You will do only what really matters to you. When every human being is doing only what truly matters to them, this is a beautiful world. Right now they're doing too much rubbish.
Being a very deep cricket enthusiast and now somewhat involved with the sport, I see with admiration the rise and rise of Virat Kohli. I see his energy on the field, I see his energy off the field. I see the way he's transforming and rewriting the rules of the game. The T20 format, 140 to 160 was par score. He's redefined it. Now 190 is subpar.
250.
250, 240. There is something within him that propels him more than others. There are many people who are talented. There are many people who have this ability, but there are few who realize this ability. What is it that takes one to realize that he can do a little more, he can inspire more, he can create more, he can create new standards? Is there something from within or is it something from outside? What is it?
I've also been watching Virat Kohli with interest because I've seen every great batsman in the last 40-45 years. Very few have hit the ball the way he's hitting it. Probably the only other person that I can think of is Vivian Richards, who used to hit the ball like this, but he did not have the same sense of mission that this boy has. He just played for fun and, an island, Caribbean culture, and he kind of didn't take it so seriously or did not go at it with a certain zeal with which this boy is going. But I think he was the only one who was striking the ball the way this boy is striking today, which is very rare. Most people who have watched only cricket on the television don't understand this probably. It's one of the most dangerous games on the planet. A hard ball is coming at you over 130, 140 kilometers per hour, and this is the only sport where the ball is pitched and it swings this way, that way, which gives you a fraction of a second to make your decision how to handle that ball. It's a very dangerous game. You must… there are bowling machines, they may be there in Calcutta, yes? The bowling machines are there. Young man, I'm telling you, don't try 140 kilometers. At 80 or 90 kilometers, just set the bowling machine at 90 kilometers and stand there and see how the ball comes at you. It's crazy, okay? So every ball is different, the way it's coming at you, so it needs to be handled. Everybody who's there, we must understand, is very good. They may look clumsy, they may get out for zero, but they're very good with what they're doing. But somebody stands out like this. This reminds me of… there was a motorcycle rider whose name was Kenny Roberts, who won the world championships 5 times in a row. People couldn't believe it because you have to win 16 races across the country to get to the championship. All the machines are prepared by the top companies and the talent is at the highest level. But winning 5 in a row was considered unprecedented and impossible. So they asked him, how do you do this? So he said, I go out of control with control. I understand that very well. I live every step of my life like that, always out of control but with control. This is what everybody is seeking. They want little madness in their life, but they don't want to go insane. But their longing for safety and security makes them insulate themselves from that little madness. Then they wonder, what's happened to my life? It's become boring and no good. They try to step out, then they get hit by something. They again build walls around them. This process is going on. So when you take an example like this, one thing is the zeal. Another thing is loving what you're doing, really loving what you're doing. That's what you want to do. This once happened. I was just walking into the Chennai airport and the Indian hockey team was leaving for Germany for Champions Trophy that year. A few years ago, the Indian hockey team came and spent a week or 10 days in the yoga center and we had helped the previous team, but this was a new team. So when I walked in, KPS Gill was there and he saw me and said, "Sadhguru, you must come and speak to the boys. We have a psychologist who is speaking to them right now in the airport, just before they leave for Germany. Many of these boys have never gone out of the country for the first time, they're going. At that time, half the team was from the tribal belt, because they all came out of the Tata Academy. So I went there to see what they're talking. So this psychologist is trying to pep them up. He's telling them, I can't repeat this in Hindi, but he's telling them, your parents have brought you up, you have to bring pride to them. 1 billion people, full Bharat is watching you, cannot disappoint them. These boys these are all 18, 19-year-old boys from the tribal belt, 1 billion people, their expectations and their parents' honor, they're just dazed like this. So they asked me to speak. I said, see, I asked them, do you guys know how to play hockey? I asked them to bring the sticks and I played hockey right through my school and college. So I said, you guys, do you know how to play hockey? They said, yes. I said, no, you guys don't know how to play hockey. They said, no. Suddenly they became, no, we know how to play hockey. Then if you know how to play hockey, this is all you do. Those 70 minutes, the ball must be continuously in the goal. That's your goal. You want the ball to be constantly in the opposite goal. Don't try to beat Germany and Pakistan and somebody. Just put the ball in the goal. You like to do it, isn't it? Yes, we like to do it. So just do that. Forget about Bharat and your parents and everybody for some time. And one of these conversations I had in Hyderabad, one of the film actors, his final question is, Sadhguru, all this is okay, but in cricket, how to beat Pakistan? I said, you should not try to beat Pakistan, you should just learn to hit the ball. There is no Pakistan in the ball, all right? You just have to hit the ball. You don't have to beat Pakistan. If you try to beat Pakistan with your stupid emotions, you will do something stupid, which has been happening continuously. Now, I think recently Virat Kohli came on the television and said, my only problem is I get angry. I want to be like a monk, something he said, whatever, his own version of wanting to calm. I think he needs balance. With the kind of talent he has, if he learns to become balanced, he is going to be a phenomenon. He's going to be a new cricketing story on the planet, not just one more player. He has the necessary ingredients. I said this when he was 17. I saw him playing in Singapore for the under-18 team or something. He was captaining that team at that time. I saw this boy playing and then only I said, this guy will go far. And then he vanished out of my radar for almost 5-6 years and then he surfaced suddenly one day in the test in the Indian team. And now he's going the way he's going. He needs to balance himself. If he learns to be a cool fire, not a fire that burns him up, then he will do things which probably has not been done for a long time. I think we can give him those tools of self-transformation, which will not take away the fire. See, there are two ways to fire yourself. If I get angry, I can propel myself. This is one way. But all of you know, whenever you're angry, it propels you, at the same time it takes away your sense in many ways. It takes away your capabilities. We can show you scientifically, medically we can show you how your system is getting poisoned when you're angry. Instead of being that way, with sheer pleasantness, you can drive yourself. You do not know how to… See, we have been driving internal combustion engines for a long time, which have been smoking and polluting and killing us in many ways, but they've been propelling us. Now we are coming to engines which has no internal combustion, which smoothly drives without a noise, without smoke, without nothing. We're just coming to that, we're just coming of age with automobiles. Similarly, it's time humanity comes of age, that you learn to propel yourself in a very pleasant manner. I am also on 20 hours a day, I'm just fooling around. Why do you need anger and this and that? If out of sense you can drive yourself, it is not necessary you have to drive yourself with anger or hatred. Yes, those things give you energy in a certain way, but they take away your competence in many levels. This boy needs tools for self-transformation. I think we should deliver that to him. I would like to do that to him because he is a phenomena in waiting.
He is. If already not made. I mean, he can be a much bigger phenomena, but he's already a phenomena,
See,
not in the
one
making.
season phenomena will be forgotten.
Forgotten.
He needs to become a… Yes.
In cricket, you deal with lots of celebrities, lots of kids who over a period of time become celebrities and develop huge egos. And when you see the game from within, you see how large the egos are. And to the outside, the ego doesn't overtake the interests of the team, but sometimes it does. How does one as an owner draw a line between balancing the ego and the interest of the team? So if you were to pull up a celebrity, he's not used to it, he sulks. Then your team loses out. If you don't, because of his ego, sometimes wrong decisions are taken. So how does one balance this?
This is not just in cricket, this is everywhere.
Absolutely.
You give somebody to do something, if they do it for 3 days, they have reached stratosphere. You know, if they do something, get little recognition, if 5 people clap their hands, they will rise. So till they fall, they don't realize this is not the way to play cricket. Up in the air, you can't play cricket, you got to be on the ground. So, how to deal with it? There are many ways, but the best way is not that we don't deal with it. When I say we don't deal with it, they need tools for self-transformation. What has happened with them is just this. They are still driving themselves because of the euphoria of the crowds, what is written in the newspaper, what other people are saying about you. Or in other words, you have not found anything about yourself. You are a product of other people's opinion. Everybody is saying you're great and you start believing you're great. No. You don't have to believe anything. If you're good at something, you just have to keep on seeing how to enhance that. This is the problem with people, they think they become ambitious. Ambition means you're tweaking your desire. Instead of tweaking your competence, you're tweaking your desire, which is just the wrong way to do life. You don't need to be ambitious. You don't need to think, I have to score 100 runs. You don't need to think, I have to become a champion. You just have to hit the ball that's coming at you right now. That's all you need to do. For this, you of course need training, that's a different aspect. Without that, you wouldn't have come here. You just need the necessary alertness and presence of mind to do what you have to do at that moment. Instead of that, they become stars. Your reputation will not play. It's only with your competence which plays. Your reputation cannot play. So by the time they realize this, many of them are flushed down because there is a younger crop coming up doing things. I think these boys, because without other exposure, without generally with education, they're just coming straight into the game and they fully give themselves to the game. Before they know what's happening, they're quite lost, many of them, not all of them. Many have matured with the game. Others have gotten lost with the game. If they are given a little education about how to handle themselves, I think they'll come out on the tops.
Greed. I don't know how to define greed, but I would, in my own silly, stupid way, I would define greed as unlimited, irrational desire.
No, generally greed is like this. What I want is need. What you want is greed. Generally, that's how it is defined. Greed is a strong word, we don't have to go to this. Why? Greed is a consequence of a certain unfulfilled state. When I say a consequence of a certain unfulfilled state, what is a human being longing for? Every human being. All of you, wherever you are right now, you would like to be little more than what you're right now, isn't it so? Hello? Yes. If that little more happens, what? Little more? If that happens, what? So it looks like in installments you're going towards something. How much more would settle you for good? Let's look at it right now. Why go at it in installments? How much more would settle you? Hello? If I make you the king or queen of the solar system, don't look at me with hope. I am not known to commit such blunders. Even if you become the king or queen of the solar system, you will not be fulfilled, you will look at the stars. Because this is the nature of the human being. There is something within you always longing to expand in a boundless way. Because you have gotten so very identified with your physical form, you are trying to find this boundless way through physical means. When we say physical, let's understand this. Physicality can exist only because of a defined boundary. If there is no boundary, there is no physicality possible. You can say something is physical only if it has a defined boundary, otherwise it cannot be physical. So through something which is physical is the world of boundaries. Through the world of boundaries, you're trying to reach towards boundlessness. This is like you're driving your ambassador car. Unfortunately, I don't see too many on the Calcutta roads anymore. You're driving your ambassador car, but you want to go to the moon. You may go beyond the moon sometimes, if you try hard. But you will not go to the moon because to go to the moon you need a different kind of vehicle altogether. So you're seeking boundlessness unconsciously. So you're trying to go towards boundlessness through physical means. When it finds very basic physical expression, you wanting to be more than yourself, we call this sexuality. All you're trying to do is something that is not you, you're trying to make it a part of yourself for a few moments. If it finds emotional expression, we call this love. Something that is not you, you want to include as a part of yourself. If it finds a mental expression, it gets labeled as greed, ambition, conquest, or simply shopping. If it finds a conscious expression, we call this yoga. Yoga means union. Yoga means you successfully erased the boundaries of your individuality. Because the boundaries of your individual nature are essentially your making. When I say it's essentially your making, right now let us say you're sitting here, unfortunately somebody that you don't like, your enemy, happened to settle down in the chair next to you or in front of you. You can't stand them. You're sweating sitting there because this horrible person is sitting next to you. What would you say? No. Your mind cannot take it, but your body has no issue. What they exhale, you're inhaling unconsciously, but no problem. Yes? Yes or no? Your body has no problem, this life has no problem, only your mind has problem. Because your mind recognizes the boundary, your body doesn't recognize the boundary. You sit here and breathe, what you exhale the trees are inhaling, what the trees exhale you're inhaling. Really, if you look at it, one half of your lungs is hanging out there. Yes, your life is not happening separately, it is happening as a one whole thing. You're just a pop-up from this planet. You know, you have seen those pop-ups on your screen, on your computer screen. If they're paid only for 2 seconds ad, it just pops up for 2 seconds and poop. In the life of this planet, you're just a 2-second pop-up and you'll pop out. Yes or no? So, this pop-up doesn't understand it's just a pop-up, it thinks it's eternal, its boundaries are eternal. You must get this now, these boundaries are all made by you. If you really fix the boundary, you can't breathe and you will die right now. It is a transaction which is keeping you alive. So this sense of boundary is wanting you to expand. Because you know only physicality, you're trying to expand physically. If somebody expands faster than you say he's greedy. If you are expanding faster than somebody, then you think you're successful.
What stimulates or motivates a leader? You've got there. A Mahendra Singh Dhoni is there, right at the top. What motivates them to achieve more?
You're essentially asking what drives them.
Yes.
If they're driven by something, they shouldn't be leading anything, in my opinion. When you drive, you are not driven, you are driving, then you're a leader. If you're driven by something, then you're also a slave, but you have a bunch of slaves behind you. Whether your ambition drives you, or your God-given mission drives you, or your greed drives you, or whatever drives you, if something is driving you, in my opinion, I wouldn't call that person a leader. Nothing drives you. I'm made like this, I really have no need for action. If I close my eyes and sit here, I can sit here till I fall dead. Really, I can simply sit. I have simply no need for action. But all the time on. People think I have a mission. There is no mission. I see an enormous longing in people around me. I see it's needed, so I do what I can do. People call this all kinds of things, oh, Sadhguru is 20 hours a day, 7 days, how can he do this? He must be having God talking to him every day. No. This is just this. If you just pay attention to this, every human being is capable of knowing this. The very body that you carry, you created from inside. There is an intelligence here, there is a competence here which is capable of transforming a piece of bread into a complex machine called human mechanism. This is the most complex piece of technology on the planet. You agree with me? Those of you who are engrossed with your phones, I'm asking you. This is the most complex piece of technology. This you are capable of making with a piece of bread or a mango or a fish or whatever you eat. Now, if you can tap into this intelligence, even if a drop of this intelligence which can make bread into body came into conscious access, suddenly life would become magical. This is what every human being has to do, because the highest form of intelligence is right here, not here, it's right across. Right now we're mistaking intellect for intelligence. Intellect is like a knife, it cuts through a few things, it helps you with survival, but it doesn't show you the nature of life. It doesn't give you access to life. In fact, it chops up everything. If you apply your intellect too much to anything and everything gets chopped up. It's a good instrument for dissection when you want to know something. So, today our science has entirely become dissection. This works okay when you're doing some material stuff, but now you want to know your mother very well, so you dissect her. No, please, this is not the way, okay? This is not the way. You must keep your instrument of dissection aside and see how to embrace and include somebody. Only then you know them. By dissection, you may see their liver, kidney, spleen, but you won't know that piece of life in any context, isn't it? So the problem is just this, that we think a leader means he must be boom, boom, slogan shouting, fired up. No, I think leadership has to mature into a place. A leader must be someone who transcends his own needs. There is nothing driving him, then he will do what is needed. This is what I'm trying to create with every human being in the world. That is, you are no more in pursuit of happiness, you're blissed out by your own nature. When you're not in pursuit of happiness, you are no more a vested interest in the world. You will do what is needed. But when you are in pursuit of happiness, if I do this, I will find happiness. If I do that, I will get fulfillment, or if I get this, I will get fulfillment. When you're in such a state, knowingly or unknowingly, you are a vested interest. Knowingly or unknowingly, you will cause much harm. People may not realize that right now. Generations later, people look back and say, look at the things they did in the past. But if you are joyful and blissful by your own nature, your intelligence will function in a completely different way. You will do just what is needed. Another thing is, you are free from the fear of suffering. Only and only when you are free of fear of suffering will you stride, full stride in your life. Otherwise, every step is a half a step. What will happen, what will happen, what will happen? Whatever happens, this is how I will be. If this assurance comes to you, then you would explore your life in many, many ways than you are doing right now, isn't it? This one thing must happen for every leader. This is the reason why last 20 years we've been focusing on the leadership in the world, political, business, bureaucratic leadership, all kinds. This is about 12, 13 years ago, someone, very prominent person came to the yoga center and they went through the inner engineering program and they said, Sadhguru, this is fantastic, but what about the nation? So I told them, see, I have a clear-cut plan. I have listed out 2,000 people. I'm not talking about prime ministers, chief ministers, because they come and go. You know, the life of a democratic leader may be 5 years or 10 years at the most, some may last a little longer. But generally that's all it is. But there are another set of leaders, business leaders, bureaucratic leaders, social leaders, who are there for a solid 25, 30-year span. In many ways, these are the people who ultimately are the legs for any political leadership. They are the people who actually deliver the goods. So I said, see, I have a list of 2,000 people. You get me these 2,000 people in the next 4 years, you will see in the next 8 to 10 years, you will see a significant transformation in the country. We've been going at it nearly 14, 15 years, I think now. I think we have touched about 42 to 43% of this leadership. And they're making a quiet difference. I'm here with you for the same purpose.
But Sadhguru, tell me one thing. One of my closest friends' wives had a very bad back problem. And now she is doing yoga and it seems she will be able to avoid surgery and she will get cured, hopefully, by yoga. How do we take this science which energizes the body to the youth of the country?
The youth of any nation has some level of volatility and some level of confusion. But right now, the youth in India, in many ways are at crossroads. They do not know culturally whether they want to fall this way or that way. Usha has successfully, straddled the two worlds. Look at her, how she looks, but she's a rock singer, okay. So, others are all struggling how to, they don't know whether to get totally westernized or stay Indian. Somebody says Bharat, somebody says India, it's a confusion for the youth. The youth means it is humanity in the making. And terrible things have been happening in the country. In our country, so many things are happening. In this, what is happening to children and youth is of great concern because it seems in the last 1 year, 1,700 children below 16 years of age committed suicide in this country. When children start committing suicide, we need to understand we are doing something fundamentally wrong, something very fundamentally wrong. When children below 16 years of age commit suicide in such numbers, we need to understand with grave concern that fundamentals are not being handled properly. I heard this number about 4 months ago. Then I told our people, this year for the yoga day, we must touch 10,000 schools. We must teach yoga in 10,000 schools. People balked, but they've gotten used to it these days. My aspirations. 10,000 looked like a big number 4 months ago. Then I just traveled 8 states and met the chief ministers of every state. But all of them came with such enthusiasm that today we have made MOUs with these 8 states and the 9th state is coming through now. It is going to cross 30,000 schools. We have trained 45,600 teachers who in turn will train 3 teachers in every school. And this is not a one-day thing, will happen as a part of the school curriculum. Just 20 minutes a day, a simple form of what is called as Upa-yoga. Upa-yoga means it's sub-yoga. If you teach yoga, there are certain parameters that you must maintain, because it doesn't matter how innocuous a yogic practice looks, every one of them has a spiritual dimension to it. Simply the way you sit, the way you breathe, it has. Without those dimensions, if you teach, it would be irresponsible. So, we took this Upa-yoga, and which doesn't have a spiritual side to it, which is purely for their physical and psychological well-being. It is of immense need in the country. We are probably touching somewhere around 17 to 18 million children between 10 to 16 years of age. That's the age group we have chosen. But this is still a drop in the ocean. This is not a total solution. This needs to happen on a much larger scale. My commitment is… Did all of you brush your teeth today? Those of you not saying anything, please. You brushed your teeth today because the tools for keeping your dental hygiene are with you. Suppose it was in the hands of the government or with an organization, the toothbrush is in my hands. You have to come every day and I will brush you. I'm sure many of you would miss it because the queue, Now everybody has the tools of their dental hygiene. Similarly, every human being should have the tools of self-transformation in their hands. It should not be in the hands of a guru or an organization or some other kind of edifice that has been built. Every human being must have access to this. With this intent, we are doing many things. Fortunately, I consider myself, I was speaking somewhere and I said, Sadhguru, who is the greatest guru in the world? I said, of course me. Mike Tyson's posture, this is me, I'm the greatest guru. They said, what's happened to Sadhguru? I said, see, when a Krishna came, however graceful and fantastic he was, if he spoke, the gentle being that he was, if he spoke, maybe 50 people heard him. Those behind did not hear. When a Gautama, the Buddha came, he was little more, He didn't have the same aesthetic problems as Krishna. He was more committed towards his mission. So maybe he spoke little loudly, 100 people heard. Today we have come to a world where we can sit here and talk to 1 billion people if you want at once. So when this kind of situation has come, a time has come where everybody should have access to it. It should not be limited to organizations, gurus, scriptures, this, that. Every human being, as they know how to keep their mouth clean, they must know how to keep themselves clean. The necessary tools must be made available. Our commitment is just to offer the tools. No philosophies, no belief systems, no ideologies, no forming of one more new religion. But every human being should have the tools and they must know how to use it. Today it is possible. Never before this was possible, today it is possible.
Very often a public display of simplicity is mistaken for simplicity itself and it's regarded as a virtue. How does one actually impress upon people that it is not a display of simplicity that is important, but it is the simplicity of thought and simplicity of virtue that is more important?
I would appreciate simplicity of thought. I think we need a more sophisticated and complexity of thought. Why do we need simplicity of thought? Do we want to become earthworms? I know they're more eco-friendly, but that's not the idea of being human. This entire simplicity business has come from very mediocre minds. Saints and sages of the past, if you look at them, they lived in accordance to the times in which they lived. Someone whatever I do it with a certain involvement and passion. So I drive in a certain way. So one journalist comes to me and asks, "Yogis always walked across this country. You are driving by yourself. What kind of a yogi are you?" I said, "You idiot. 1,000 years ago, not just yogis, everybody was walking only." Not just yogis, everybody was walking. So he was also walking. Now if I walk and go, you will say, "See what a fool he is." If I drive, you'll see he's driving. Will I become more spiritual if I have a chauffeur-driven car? So right now there is this thing that spirituality is some kind of a disability. Because if you say I'm spiritual, first thing they will ask you is, what are the things you cannot do? They will not ask you, what are the things you can do? So, I took it upon myself to confuse the hell out of people. Nobody can figure what I am. I am many things at the same time. I have driven in competitive racing, I'm a licensed rotary wing pilot, I'm a licensed diver, I'm many things. Because spirituality is empowerment, it is not a disability. The reason why most people have rejected spirituality is because some people projected the idea, if you dress badly, if you eat badly and if you live badly, you must be spiritual. This has to change. This has to change. Everybody needs to understand what you eat, what you wear, where you live is a question of your requirement and your aesthetic. How you are within yourself is your spirituality. Instead of fixing the interiority, you're fixing the paraphernalia, you're fixing your clothing. So, if you just wear a small piece of cloth around your loins, you will not become spiritual. If that is the way you like it, you want to keep your life that simple, it's up to you. But unfortunately, people are impressed by this. No, this should go. This has to go. So I think in many ways, in a very controversial way, I've set up an example for this, that Donna Karen and me wanted to come out with I design clothes. Everything that I wear is designed by me, and I also design for a few other people. So I said, she looked at my clothes and said, "Sadhguru, you're the best dressed man in the world." I said, "No. She said, "Yes, really, I've never seen anybody with your sense of color and texture and stuff. We must design clothes together." I said, "Okay, I'll give 1 week. 1 week, let's design something." But she said, "I don't know how to design men's clothes." I said, "What's the problem? I will design women's clothes." There is more options and more creativity there. Well, I didn't get the time to do it, but hope I'll do it someday. So, this idea of simplicity has destroyed many things. At certain times, certain people, somebody who lived in the jungle dressed in a certain way, but even they, when they came to the city, in those days whatever was formal, they wore those things. People's idea of spirituality or yogis and saints, I think these are yogis who've fallen out of the calendar images. okay?
We're getting on in time. This can go on. But it's time to take questions from the audience. We will take 2 questions.
Please take the microphone. Whoever. If you raise your hand, the microphone will come to you.
Namaskaram Sadhguru. Speaking of gods and goddesses…
I'm sorry?
Speaking of gods and goddess, Kolkata is a place replete with Kali and Durga Ma, celebrating slaying of Mahishasur. You have also created Mahishasur at Linga Bhairavi's feet. What is the connection and spiritual significance of Devi slaying the demon, and why under Linga Bhairavi also? Thank you.
We didn't talk about guts, gumption and gods.
We didn't.
She's bringing us to the gods.
Yes.
I want you to mentally gear yourself up for this. I want you to understand, this land, this culture is a godless culture. Never before, ever in this country have we projected the God any time. We always told you, your life is your karma. That means your life is your making. Everything that you are is a consequence of what you do to yourself, either consciously or unconsciously. If you do it consciously, it'll turn out the way you want it. If you do it unconsciously, it'll turn out some other way and you think something did it to you. So when we said it's your karma, it meant that you are the maker of your life. But gods and gods and gods, I'm sorry, goddesses also, there's a gender issue. We say that there are 33 million gods and goddesses. This 33 million happened when our population was 33 million. Since then, we've gotten a little shy of creating gods because people from outside came without understanding the science and technology of God making. They said, you are, multiple gods you're worshipping, that's not how it is, we know there's only one God. Everybody made up their gods. Some have forgotten, but we know. That's a big difference. Making up the God does not mean just imagine something. That is how it's happened in variety of cultures, but in this culture, we evolved the technology of God-making. When I say technology of God-making, I don't know if this word is alive in Bengal, but in the south, the deity is also referred to as a yantra. Is that there? No? Yes or no?
Yantra.
Is the deity also referred to as a yantra?
Well, in North India for sure.
It is?
It is.
Okay, in South it's very much alive. You must understand, the word yantra means a machine or a form that works for you. Why do we create machines? Why did we come up with a bicycle? We can walk because we are capable of locomotion. We walked for some time, it was not good enough, so we came up with a bicycle to enhance our ability to, our locomotive capabilities. We enhanced it further, we made it into a motorcycle, we made it into an airplane, we made it into many things. All this only because we are capable of locomotion. If we were made like trees, we wouldn't have come up with bicycles. Right now, because we can speak, we have come up with a microphone, we have come up with a telephone, we have come with all kinds of phones. because we can see, we came up with a microscope, a telescope and many kinds of scopes. Every machine that we have created is only enhancement of the faculty that we already have. We did not come up with any machine which does something different from us. It only does the same thing in a better way. We can see till there. We have a telescope and we can see very far. We can speak here, but you wouldn't hear. So we have a microphone. Now we are speaking to the entire hall. So everything, every machine is only an enhancement of our existing faculties. Similarly, as we have created machines, we created subjective machines. This is what we called as the deities or the murtis, or today being referred to as gods in English language. These are machines which could do, we ourselves cannot, where deities or murtis are, which have made them into… Right now circulating around the world because of this, the man who knew infinity, whatever, Ramanujam you heard of. Ramanujam just poured out mathematics, unlearnt, simply poured out. People asked him, where does this come from? He says, my goddess, she just drops, she just bleeds mathematics. The things that he wrote in early 20th century are still being figured today. And in 2010, they realized some of the formulas that he built are actually describing the black holes. In early 20th century, there was no concept of black hole, but he created a mathematical backbone for black holes which he did not know about, nor did anybody know about. He said, my goddess just pours mathematics for me. So like this, these are subjective tools with which you can open up a certain window into existence. I am a living example. Unlettered, happy being illiterate. The only qualification I have is, with great care, I remained uneducated. Yes. No. You think education is a difficult thing. No. Remaining uneducated takes a lot more. Because from the first day you are born, your parents, every other adult, teachers, pandits, priests, mullahs, all kinds of people, everybody is busy teaching you something that has not worked in their life. Yes. If somebody gives you any advice, first look at their face. Are they really more joyful than you? Why I'm saying this is, if something has worked for somebody, it should have made him into a really exuberant life, isn't it? Suppose somebody comes and gives you, your neighbor comes and says, I have a special manure for your mango tree. You must look at his mango tree, how many fruits? Yes or no? Before you apply that manure to your mango tree, you must see in his mango tree how many fruits are there. If his mango tree is laden with fruit, unlike yours, then yes, you must take his manure. Otherwise you should not. All the teachers, including the parents, I'm asking you, between you and your children, who is more joyful? Then who should be a consultant for life? So, these are tools. When I refer to, whenever I refer to Dhyanalinga as a tool, people get very upset, Sadhguru, it's more than our life, don't call it a tool, it's such a mundane, crude word. Then I tell them, you do one thing, you come to the yoga center, I'll give you plumbing job, no tools. You can use your hands, your teeth, whatever you want. 3 days, work without spanners, winch, this, that, nothing. Everything will be bleeding. On the third day, I will give you a spanner. Will you worship the spanner or no? You do not know the power of the tool. As human beings, we are who we are only because of our ability to create and use tools, isn't it? Otherwise, a colony of ants would dominate us, believe me. We know how to use tools, that is what sets us apart. So we built subjective tools, which today are getting referred to as gods. We appropriately call them as yantras, because these are machines which work for us. So for this, we had a certain way to operate a certain machine. How to access this particular machine, a particular sound pattern, a particular form, a particular process, these processes unfortunately in many places might have gotten distorted. But if a deity is alive, if you know how to use it, it can do incredible things for you. This is not belief system, this is not religion, this is technology. Technology of another kind.
We have a question from Ravichandran Ashwin on video. Can we take that?
Okay. Is he going to spin me out or what?
Hello, Sadhguru. I'm basically a very ambitious person in life. Anything that I want to do, I think I should excel in it. And hence what happens is I get into a lot of conflicts in terms of other people. I generally try and shun people out of my life as much as possible. When I seek excellence, there are always these obstacles that come in between. But what I want to understand is the disturbance that this creates as a process. It puts in our mind, heart. So I would like to handle it much better. And if there is a way that we can sort this disturbance out, I would like to know how.
If you want to excel in something, as I earlier said, you think excellence also is your ambition. Ambition means you're tweaking your desire. Desire need not be tweaked, your competence need to be tweaked. Tweaking the competence, nobody can come in the way because you're doing something with yourself. When your competence reaches a certain level of excellence, others will stand by and watch anyway. When you spin them out, even the batsman will stand and watch his wickets fallen because there is a certain excellence. So excellence is not something that you do with the world, excellence is something that you do with yourself. Suppose you are managing large situations, teams and organizations, then it involves everybody. When it involves everybody, there is a certain aspect. See, the problem is, we are always either looking up to something or looking down on something. This is something we must understand. This is one thing all of you should do. That is, don't look up to anything, don't look down on anything. If you just bring this, it's not simple. It's not as simple as it sounds. Because the moment you say something is good, you will look up to it. The moment you say something is bad, you look down on it. Just bring this equanimity in you. You don't look up to something, you don't look down on something. You look at everything just the way it is. Only if you see life just the way it is, can you conduct it to the best of your ability. If you think something is good, it gets exaggerated in a positive way. If you think something is bad, it gets exaggerated in a negative way. The moment you exaggerate something in your mind, you are not seeing things the way they are. Once you don't see things the way they are, excellence will be of another world, you will never touch it. So, people are not in the way of your excellence, nobody is. It is just that you are treating excellence as an ambition. No, excellence is self-transformation.
There is a question from the Rising Pune Supergiants cricket team page.
This is a fixed question.
It's not a fixed question, but
All right.
it's a pre-set question.
All right. What's the question?
I think it's...
Oh, they're coming on the video.
It's coming.
Who is asking the question, the coach or the captain or the bench?
No,
What happened?
Lokanetraji says no. Can we take one question from the audience?
Anybody, please take the microphone.
Sadhguru, I have a question.
Where are you?
I am here. Sadhguru, this side.
Where is here?
This side.
Which is this side?
This side. I am here, Sadhguru.
Okay.
First of all, thank you for making it to Calcutta. We expect you more often in Calcutta. Sadhguru, for centuries, we have thought education is a solution. Knowing will be doing. Now today, we are living in a world where every information, every knowledge, every profound thing is available at the click of a mouse. But yet, problems have only got compounded.
Oh, you're still on the mouse, you're not on the phone, huh?
Pardon?
You're still on the mouse, that's an ancient tool. You're not on your phone.
Yeah. So, all these years we have believed that, if we know things, if we know what is right, and, life will get transformed. Today, the problem that I personally face, and I feel so many people, I have done Shambhavi. Now the question is, every morning when I rise, it becomes some kind of a challenge, whether I do it or I don't do it. Execution in our lives has become a challenge. So what is even, say you are touching the 30,000 schools and the children, what will ensure that what the tools or whatever tools of transformation they learn, that gets followed up in their life? How does the execution part gets taken care of? That's my question.
Now with the children, school children, we are not teaching it to the children, we are teaching it to the teachers. And it is going to… It's the 5 days. We are trying to involve the parents. If that happens, it'll happen at home also. About you, every day struggling whether to do Shambhavi or not, I want you to understand, I invested my life and my time and my energy to make this happen for you. And now if you're not doing it, you're not just wasting your life, you're trying to waste my life. I take that very seriously. And that's not a good karma for you. So tomorrow morning, the thing is just this. If those first 6 months we told you that you set it up, this discipline, if you had done it, by now, Shambhavi would be a process that will bliss you out every morning. If something becomes a very sweet experience, nobody has to tell you to do it. It is only initially, till you realize the nature of what it is, you need some force. So that's why we asked you to take a commitment, I'm sure you didn't keep it up. But now that you ask this question now, there are millions of people for whom they are looking forward to their Shambhavi every day because that is the best 21 minutes of their life. It should become like that. If something becomes beautiful, then nobody has to tell you, you must do it. Anyway, you will do it. It will become lot more than anything that you have known if you give yourself to it. There are millions of people, if they close their eyes in the morning, tears of ecstasy are coming. Do they need to determine themselves they must do it? They'll anyway do it.
Friends, I think in the interest of the schedule, we must call this to an end.
I'm okay.
Okay.
Hello, Hello.
Somebody got the mic.
Sadhguru.
Can we take it from the lady there then?
Important question for me. Please.
One question.
Knowing who I am is not enough.
Where are
because
you?
if
Where
you
are
are,
you?
if you,
Hello. Where are you?
Sadhguru here,
Here means
balcony,
where? Oh.
I think
balcony, yeah, I have raised my hand. Yeah. What my question is, knowing oneself not intellectually, but truly, the emness, beingness is still not enough because the mind still traps you and enslaves you.
You must
Though
ask
the frequency
you must ask the
decreases.
question and leave it. If you ask the question and also give your own answer.
No, no. What I'm saying is, what to do?
What to do about what?
No, what I'm saying is, even if one knows oneself as the beingness and emness, not intellectually but truly, still it is not enough. Because still the mind traps you, though the frequency becomes less. Another thing, you claim to stop people from getting enlightened because they may die. It is so ordinary and obvious thing to know oneself, then how can one die? And how can one stop another person from getting enlightened? Thank you, Sadhguru.
I don't need to stop you. Most people are doing a good job with themselves. I don't have to stop them. It's only a few you must understand this. The problem is, too many books are printed telling you all these things, beingness and thisness and thatness. Too much jargon. Nothing happens like this. You must understand this. If in some way, any one aspect, if something is happening which is genuine, because your mind can deceive you in a million different ways. If something genuine is happening, at least one aspect of your physicality you will transcend. That is the test for you. Tonight, just like that, without drinking a mug of coffee or tea, just like that, simply, without doing anything, no party, no nothing, just sit up and see if you can just stay awake, just like that, the entire night. I'm saying, if something has happened within you, at least one aspect of your physicality would be transcended. It's not that forever you need not sleep. Just try one night, if it's possible. So, just one year, or try not going to the bathroom for 24 hours. Anything. Transcend something, let me see. Because if you have hit something beyond physical nature, this is a clear thing that happens to you. Many things that you thought were impossible to go beyond, suddenly they are behind you. Check it out.
Well, friends, I think all good things must end, as must this. For me, it's been not only a privilege, but a blessing. I think there is something to be learned from every word that Sadhguru says. I think all of us are privileged, happy, and blessed. Thank you, Sadhguruji.
I would like to use this opportunity to just say this, that it is wonderful and truly heartening to see that across the world today, the business leadership is beginning to look at the inner dimension. Not entirely yet, but they're beginning to all over. Every business school is interested. They're trying to hire me as their professors, as a professor for a week, 10 days in a year, which I'm not able to do. But every top business school wants a spiritual element, which is a very good sign, because what spiritual process means is just this. When your identification shifts beyond your physicality, when your experience of life transcends physicality, it is spiritual. Spiritual, it's the most malign word I know. Spirituality doesn't mean looking up, looking down, it's about turning inward. You have touched something which is beyond physicality. The significance of this is just this. If you touch something beyond physical nature, that means you've touched something which is boundless in nature. You have left the world of boundaries behind you, that's what it means. Those who are enabled in terms of leadership, either political, bureaucratic, business, whatever, in whichever form, if you are in some state of leadership, one thing that needs to happen is you must evolve yourself beyond the world of boundaries. If you live in the world of boundaries and get hugely empowered, you're bound to create some kind of a conflict which is destructive in nature. Particularly the business leadership today, because there was a time when the religious leadership on the planet was the most influential leadership, but then the military machines in the world built up, then the military leaders became the most influential leaders. But in the last 100 years, the democratically elected leaders have become most powerful. But a time is coming in the next 15 to 25 years, you will see the economic or the business leaders will rule the world in many ways. But the business leaders unfortunately have a tag around their neck saying that they are vested interests, they are here just to make money. It is a time, it is a wonderful happening that a whole lot of business leaders are looking towards spirituality. This means spirituality does not mean going to the temple, going to heaven, no. It means moving from a world or a dimension of boundaries to a dimension of boundlessness. Once you're empowered, it is important that you go beyond your boundaries. Your boundaries should not rule you, and in the next 25 years, you will see across the world, the business leadership will determine what happens in this world. Today itself it is true, the success of a nation is not determined by the success of the military forces or even the political process. It is the success of the businesses of a nation which determines the success of the nation and the well-being of the nation. When such a responsibility has come, it is my aspiration to move every business leader from personal ambition to a larger vision which brings well-being to everyone. Thank you very much for Sanjay, for being here on this day. Thank you.
जरा हल्की गाड़ी हाँ